Nuno Mendes to Manchester United is one to watch. Links with Bellingham, but not Jude, his younger brother Jobe. Links with Tomori in contender for BS transfer story of the week. And INEOS's cost cutting shows no mercy with another charity dumped. And more Marcus Rashford news to bring to you, which I am sorry in advance about. This plus all the latest Manchester United news and transfer news that we're going to discuss in today's video. Welcome to Man United Review. My name's Jamie. Before we get into it, please smash a like on the video. Let's jump straight into it. So let's go through all the transfer stuff first, eh? Why not? So Manchester United are prepared to spend £63.3 million to sign Victor Osman from Napoli in January. Now that came from a Nigerian outlet with 6.8 million followers. I don't know the reliability personally. It was reposted by some aggregator accounts that are normally fairly well informed, but I do not know personally know the credibility of the source, but I'm going to assume with that many followers, fairly decent, suggesting that Manchester United are preparing to sign Victor Osman in January. I doubt that, though. I do not know where we're going to find the funds available to spend £60 million plus on Osman, as much as it would be, you know, a great kind of signing. Plus, is it really the priority area? We know we're crying out for a left-footed fullback. Obviously, links over the last couple of days heavily with Nuno Mendes. There's been another journalist coming out with some updates on that I'm going to bring to you in a bit. You know, the only way that would be possible is if we did a madness and sold some players, but January's not really the time to do those sort of deals because other clubs have got limited budgets as well in January, and, you know, it's just a really kind of difficult deal to do. As much as I would like it, I think Osman would be a great striker to kind of bring in, but I don't know if we'll have those sort of funds available unless, like I said, we did something crazy like selling Rashford and Garnacho, got that money in, and then used it to get, you know, other players. But I can't see that happening in January. But, you know, it's a different kind of situation with INEOS, and, you know, it might be different to how we've done things in the past, but we'll just have to wait and see. But personally, I kind of doubt whether we've got that sort of money available at the moment, but I'll bring you any updates if they develop. But let me know what you think in the comments. Now, another striker that might be more realistic for us next season is Liam Delap. So Manchester United and Chelsea are watching Ipswich Town striker Liam Delap closely ahead of a possible transfer in the summer. Now, that came from Alex Crook, who's not the kind of best, you know, is a decent, works for TalkSport, so decent Manchester, but, you know, not the most reliable. But Mr. Reliable himself, David Ornstein, if you remember back in, I think it was the end of November, said that Manchester United are tracking Ipswich Town striker Liam Delap. Now, David Ornstein is one to definitely listen to because he's the most credible journalist, I think, around at the moment when it comes to transfer news and stuff. Very reliable, very credible. So I would believe that more than necessarily the Alex Crook one. However, but, you know, no smoke without fire when it comes to players. You know, I've been watching a bit of him actually since we got linked with him from David Ornstein, and I actually like him. You know, I think he's got that kind of, you know, he's not going to get bullied up front anyway, that's for sure. He's very tough, very strong, very kind of difficult to play against, and I like that. I think that would actually improve us going forward. Whether he's got the technical quality and the finishing ability, you know, we'll have to wait and see. It's difficult to judge a player that plays for Ipswich, do you know what I mean, in terms of that, but definitely can't fault his work rate and his attitude, and the guy is an absolute nuisance and is not one that gets bullied around very often as well, so I like that about him, you know. Would he be the outstanding striker to kind of bring in? No, but would he be one that actually would maybe suit the system a bit more? Possibly, but I'll leave it to your judgment. Let me know, Liam Delap, yes or no? Let me know in the comments down below. Now, there was some news yesterday from actually some decent sources regarding Joshua Xery, and this one's from a not-so-decent source, Total Sport, but they're saying that Manchester United have agreed to let Joshua Xery leave on loan in January, but it's just more noise coming from Italian press around Xerxes potentially going back to Italy. There is, again, no smoke without fire when it comes to that. I don't trust the credibility. I don't think they're a particularly credible outlet, being truthful, but there was some stories yesterday from credible sources almost kind of saying a similar thing, and I wonder whether it is actually maybe he just hasn't settled and he wants to go back to Italy. There could be something in that. I'll bring you any updates, but I would not trust the credibility of that particular story. But the ones I brought to you yesterday, a lot more credible. So we'll just have to wait and see. But on loan, does that really help us on loan? Loaning him back? I mean, then like it doesn't help us financially to bring anybody else in when we know we're skint and we need sign-ins. Would that then mean that we need to bring in somebody on loan to replace a loan going out? That's just messy, isn't it? That's just messy, personally. But keep an eye on it for you. Let me know what you think in the comments. Now let's go through the Bellingham news. So Manchester United are interested in signing Jobe Bellingham from Sunderland in the next year after the teenager impressed the club's recruitment staff. There is a huge chance that United materialise their interest in Bellingham and look to sign the midfielder in 2025. Now that came from United District, who are normally like an aggregator account. They don't normally post their own like transfer news and stuff, but some of the news that they have brought in the past has actually been fairly decent. So I would kind of that there might be some possibility in that. I mean, Jobe Bellingham, very similar profile of player to his brother, really. He's 19 years old, can play in the midfield as like a CM or as an attacking midfielder, so could play as one of those kind of inside 10s that we're wanting to play under Ruben Amorim. He could fit in there nicely, could provide cover as like a box-to-box midfielder as well. I've got friends and family that are, Sunderland season ticket holders. They love him. So, he does look like he's got some potential in him. I just worry that because of his namesake, would his price be higher than what his actual value is just because he's, Jude Bellingham's brother? Would that mean that Sunderland want a little bit more? They're unlikely to want to do business in January as well because they're on for promotion push and the championships, unless unless we do, overpay for him. But I don't know if he's quite ready to come in just yet. But really interesting profile, really, really good player. Just if you just take the player himself, forget about his brother, forget about Jude for a second, he is a decent option. And someone for that age playing that amount of football in the championship is really good because, it's men's football and it kind of develops them. I think that's why we should be sending a lot more of our youth on loan to like championship clubs and stuff, because it does help with their developments and stuff. I mean, it did Ahmad Diallo no harm whatsoever going on a season-long loan to Sunderland, for example. I just wish we did it more often with some of our up-and-coming players. But yeah, really interesting profile, really interesting player. Let me know what you think in the comments. Now, the big story that broke yesterday was regarding Nuno Mendes. So about Man United making an offer for him. Now, Florian Plettenberg's kind of jumped on the bandwagon a little bit, saying Nuno Mendes and Manchester United is one to watch in the next weeks. Florian Plettenberg has linked us with Mendes before, though. So this was a kind of post that he did last week regarding him, where he was saying that Paris Saint-Germain are eager to extend Nuno Mendes' contract beyond 2026, with everything reportedly in place for the extension. However, the 22-year-old top left-back does not plan to sign just yet. One reason is that he has received numerous inquiries from top clubs. The player intends to take his time and carefully consider his future. As previously reported, Manchester United closely monitoring his situation. Nevertheless, PSG still hold a strong chance of securing his commitment. So Plettenberg kind of mentioned that last week. Fabrice Hawkins, though, who's actually broke the story the other day, was actually I would say more credible than Florian Plettenberg, specifically when it comes to PSG and kind of stories coming from France personally. But, no smoke without fire when it comes to Mendes. I think the situation is still the same. He's in contract negotiations at the moment with PSG about extending his deal, which has got about 18 months left to run on. By all accounts, United have made a higher bid for his wages. He's now considering that offer. Obviously, if he rejects PSG and wants to, and obviously we can't agree the terms until we agree to sign the player, but if he says to PSG, actually, do you know what it is, I'm going to refuse your offer because I want to go to Manchester United, that leaves PSG in a bit of a difficult situation, because they either hold on to the player till the summer and do the deal then, but then his transfer value is going to drop. So it is really the time for them to try and sell him. But PSG, if we do get him, are going to drive a really hard bargain. We saw that in the summer with the Ugarte situation. I know some of you have been mentioning in the comments about the possibility of a Rashford kind of swap deal for Mendes. I mean, that would make sense for everybody involved. I think for United, it would make sense if we do want to remove Rashford. Big update on him coming in a second, I'm going to bring to you. And then if PSG did want Rashford and then they were happy to kind of put Mendes in as part of the sweetener. Who knows? I mean, they're very rare in football, swap deals, but it would be potentially a situation that would suit all parties. I personally have reservations about signing players that want more money or more wages, but on the flip side, it does depend on the personality of the player. It's a little bit harsh on me because I don't know Mendes' personality or his character. He might want to come to United anyway, and the fact that he's going to get a bigger wage offer is just a Brucey bonus for him. And if we want to pay, I don't think INEOS are going to pay particularly stupid wages, neither as well. If it was under like Richard Arnold and stuff, I'd be worried about him going from like 30 grand a week to 300 grand a week. But I don't think INEOS are in that kind of, in that mode, by all the stories around them, cutting ties with charities and stuff, which I'm going to bring an update onto you again in a bit as well. But so maybe I am being a bit harsh, kind of saying, because that's me kind of giving an opinion on someone's personality. I don't know Mendes' personality, so he might want to come to United anyway. And the fact that we're offering more money might just be a little bit of a Brucey bonus for him. But it does concern me when you hear stories about we've offered more wages and they come to United just purely because we've had our fingers burnt in the past. Alexis Sanchez being the prime one, came to United for money, had one training session and already wanted to leave. And yeah, so that kind of stands out to me. But, let me know what you think in the comments. Now, let's go through BS transfer story of the week. So Manchester United interested in signing Tomori, as the centre-back has reportedly been transferred listed by the Italian Giants. That came from Team Talk. Team Talk are a, rumor, gossip outlet. They do have some decent kind of journalists that work for them, though. This came from one of their lesser credible journalists. I read literally the first sentence of the story, and we'll dismiss it as BS straight away. I'm going to throw this story straight in the BS bin because the first paragraph said Manchester United could reignite their interest in AC Milan star Tomori, as the centre-back has reportedly been in transfer listed by the Italian Giants. So firstly, it says could reignite their interest in AC Milan star. And then further in the report, it says, however, Team Talk understands that Newcastle is more likely destination for the England international than Man United. So basically linking us with Tomori to get views and get clicks, when they're saying that actually he might want to go to Newcastle. So I would throw that story straight in the bin. I will obviously keep an eye on it for you. If there is any more credibility that comes out regarding Tomori to United, then I'll obviously bring it to you. But, we're not looking for a centre-half in January unless Lindelof goes and we get an injury, then possibly we might kind of go down that avenue. But, at the moment, it's not a priority position for United in the January transfer. In the summer, possibly could be an option in the summer. But yeah, I would say take that story with a big fat pinch of salt. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let's go through the Rashford stuff. Sorry, but there's big news coming out regarding Marcus Rashford. So this came from Andy Mitten, just to give it a bit of context. So Andy Mitten was doing an interview on TalkSport, and he was they were talking about the charity and INEOS cutting costs. And one of the kind of journalists or the reporters on there basically asked Andy Mitten, or said that I think that Rashford's being forced out by INEOS because of his wages. And Andy Mitten had the following to say. He said, no, I think the manager has a big say in here. I think he's doing it his way. Ruben Amorim is a smiling assassin. He's a disciplinarian. And then he went on to say, every previous manager has had issues with Marcus Rashford. I've spoken to them. I know them. They've told me in confidence going back years and years. So that's quite a big statement from Andy Mitten. Now, Andy Mitten is very credible with United. Not a bullshit merchant, not somebody that kind of puts out hit pieces, actually quite complimentary of Rashford and United. He's a fan as well, so he's got no reason to make that story up. Like if it was, I don't know, Samuel Luckhurst from the Manchester Evening News or The Sun or something like that, I would say take it with a pinch of salt. But that's, Andy Mitten's very credible. He's got sources at the club. He did an interview recently with Sir Jim Ratcliffe, for God's sake. I mean, you don't get that kind of priority if you're a shitster or a bullshitter. So really big kind of words there. Every previous manager has had issues with Marcus Rashford, going back years and years and years. And when you think about it logically, because I've been saying, and this is just my opinion here, right? Not based on any facts or anything like that. You will have a different opinion. Some of you might agree, some will disagree. Some will have a totally different kind of angle on this, right? And that's cool. That's life. But I've said before that I think there's something else that's happened with Marcus Rashford behind the scenes. It's got to be more to it than what's going on. I just can't see a situation where Rashford is that bad in training that he can't make a matchday squad when we need goals and we need kind of when we need players and bodies to rotate, even as a rotation option. I just genuinely don't believe that he's that bad in training. So there's got to be something else to it. There's got to be something going on behind the scenes, in my opinion. And when you think about it, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer had to publicly apologise specifically to Marcus Rashford for telling him to prioritise football. That was the reason why he apologised. Rangnick dropped him from games. Ten Hag has obviously had a couple of incidents with Rashford, no more famous than the Belfast one. And now Amorim's the one who just seems to be taking a stand against whatever is happening behind the scenes with Rashford, because he's not even putting him in the squad. Which is really kind of telling and really kind of damning regarding the situation. And I'm wondering, to play devil's advocate, whether in the past there's been issues, but Rashford's been performing on the pitch, so those issues have kind of been swept under the carpet a little bit, because, we're all human beings, we all have faults, and we all have, things that we do and things that we don't do, and that's life for you. So maybe there was a kind of argument to say, well, actually, yeah, okay, we can forgive those instances or whatever what's happening, because he's performing on the pitch and he's scoring goals and winning us games. And as soon as that stops happening, which is exactly what's happened with Marcus over the last 18 months, those issues off the pitch, if you're not sorting them out, become a lot more like a much bigger of an issue. And I'm wondering if it's something like that where we've kind of known about it, but actually because he's been scoring goals and he's been, winning us games and stuff, then the club and the managers have kind of thought, well, okay, we'll just kind of accept it. And Amorim's like, no, not anymore, because he's a senior player now as well, 27 years old, will be one of our senior players in the team. He needs to be an example to the youngsters coming through, and if he's not being that example, then that, it could just be something like that. And it's just a shame, because we've obviously rewarded that behavior as well by giving him a giant contract, which is even more annoying regarding the situation. But really interesting update regarding Marcus Rashford. I would love your opinions on that in the comments, so get involved below. Let me know what you think about the situation. Now let's go through some more bad PR or bad look for INEOS. So Andy Mitten, in the same interview, also said that there will be more financial cuts to come and the club is losing an absolute fortune. And again, this is all linked in with so we brought you news yesterday about Manchester United cutting effectively £40,000 a year donations to a charity. And then there's been more news today saying that Manchester United are cutting the funding it provides to its charitable arm as part of a purge of costs being overseen by Sir Jim Ratcliffe. United plans to inform the Manchester United Foundation that it intends to curb the benefits it provides, which totaled close to 1 million last year from 2025 onwards. Now that came from Sky. So yet more charitable organisations are having their kind of funding cut by Sir Jim Ratcliffe and INEOS, which is absolutely disgusting in my opinion. Especially when you kind of think about it, we're still owned by the Glazers that are spending millions of pounds a year just in interest payments for the debt that they own, for having the privilege of bought us on debt. Like, I just think you're going after the wrong people in the wrong places. If you want to save money at United to fund the first team and build the stadium and do all of that, because I'm all for that. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't say you want a new stadium and you want us to go out and buy all these players. If we don't have the money for it, you have to cut your ties somewhere. So I get INEOS where they're coming from, but when you're still in £500 million worth of debt and you're paying interest on that debt, which is way more than £1 million to a charity, by the way, I just think it's disgusting. You're going after the wrong area. I think it's absolutely pathetic, to be truthful with you, that we're cutting all of this money from the wrong areas. Like, INEOS have just spent £3 million, probably more, on hiring Dan Ashworth and sacking him in 6 months. They've just wasted money on giving Ten Hag a new contract or a +1 option on his contract and then sacking him as well. And yet they're still, with the same breath, saying, yeah, we're just going to start cutting money from charities as well because of all the wastage, when they've just had just as much wastage in the last 12 months. In fact, way more than what they're spending on charities. I mean, Sir Jim, his net worth is around £20 billion. INEOS is worth more than that as well as a company. So, for these multi-billionaires to be cutting £1 million from charitable organisations. And this is a charity, by the way, that does community outreach programs for children in the area as well. I just think it's pathetic, and I think it's absolutely disgraceful. And it needs it needs to be kind of highlighted. The issues at United are not the fact that we're spending £1 million on a charity a year when you've got the Glazers owning us on a massive amount of debt that we're paying interest on. I just think that I think it's not a good look. And it's just the totally wrong approach. United should be a family club that are about charities and are about helping others and helping underprivileged children and helping underprivileged ex-players that used to play for us. Is what United are all about, not a new stadium. Necessarily, in my opinion. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let me know your thoughts on all the other topics discussed in today's video, because that's you all up to date with the latest Manchester United news and transfer news. Smash a like on the video on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. See you in the next one.